Chapter 1: The Birth of the Soul Boy. 18 years ago, a once-in-a-century flood seriously affected villages and towns on both sides of the Yellow River, especially Luajia village. Because it is located at the intersection of Fulling Mountain and Schwanger Mountain, when the flood destroyed the dam, the indirect debris flow not only buried half of the village's houses, but also blocked the only way for the rescue team to enter the mountain, making the rescue work delayed. On the 7th day of June, heavy rain continued to ravage the entire Felingshan area, and the few remaining houses in the village also collapsed in the heavy rain. Now, the only Wanjia ancestral hall that can provide shelter from the wind and rain is packed with villagers, and everyone's face is filled with fear of the heavy rain and sorrow for the death of their loved ones. In the corner of the ancestral hall, there was a young girl wearing a white dress. Her face was pale, and her hands were tightly protecting her bulging abdomen. Her eyes kept scanning the crowd, and she looked nervous, as if she was avoiding something. Suddenly, a woman's evil voice passed through the barrier and sounded in her ears. "Baijunor, do you think I can't find you if you hide in a crowded place? The magic power of the barrier you set up is weakening, and it will disappear soon. Be obedient and come out quickly." Baijunor was startled, and then there was a sharp pain. Her child was about to be born. Because of her childbirth, the magic power of the barrier set up by Baijunor was greatly reduced, and her own 1,000-year cultivation will temporarily disappear at the moment of childbirth. Therefore, she is very scared at this moment. If something happens at this time, then she and the child will. A middle-aged woman in a floral shirt heard the sound and ran over. The barrier had no effect on humans. On the contrary, when ghosts and fairies passed by, the red sky stone around her neck would warn her, so Baijunor had no wariness about this middle-aged woman. However, she ignored a key issue. If ghosts and demons possessed humans, then everything would be a different matter. "Big sister, what's wrong with you?" There was blood between Baijunor's legs, and her face was pale. Beads of sweat as big as soybeans flowed down her forehead, and her clothes were all soaked. As the blood energy collided with the barrier, the aura of the red sky stone dimmed and finally disappeared slowly. "This sister, please save my child." Baijunor is now like a mortal who has no power to bind a penis, or even worse than a mortal. She was afraid, so she tightly grasped the hand of the middle-aged woman in a floral shirt and begged, "Save my child, please." Baijunor's screams during labor focused everyone's attention, but except for this middle-aged woman in a floral shirt, no one was willing to come to help. Accompanied by a baby's cry and thunder, the heavy rain stopped and lightning cracked out of the sky, lighting up almost the entire Wanjia ancestral hall. The woman in the floral shirt held the newborn baby boy with a satisfied smile on her lips. "This child is so beautiful. Congratulations, it's a boy." The woman in the floral shirt placed the child next to Baijunor with a slight chill in her eyes. "It's a pity that you can't accompany him anymore, because you are going to die." Because Baijunor had just given birth, her body was extremely weak, her magic power had not yet been restored, and her consciousness was relatively vague. So even if she thought of something, she was unable to resist. Her pale face was full of panic. You are Lu Hua." Lu Hua smiled evilly, picked up the baby with his left hand, and blocked Baijunor's outstretched arm with his right hand. He said in a voice that only the two of them could hear, "Baijunor, you can go in peace. I will take care of this child. When I successfully overcome the disaster, I will let him go down to accompany you." Baijunor felt extremely regretful at this moment. She knew very well what Lu Hua was going to do. The demon was going to survive the thunder tribulation, and it was almost a narrow escape. But if a 1,000-year-old spiritual body could be used as a shield, even if the cultivation level was not enough, the power of the lightning strike would be greatly reduced, and the tribulation would be successful. However, everything was too late. Her soul was gradually disappearing. Lu Hua pulled a necklace from Bai Jun'er's neck. The chain was golden and very light. There was a pink stone hanging underneath, the size of a pigeon egg. This was the Red Sky Stone. 1 month later, on Songyun Mountain, Gu Guhyun, the 66-year-old head of Songyun, suddenly felt something strange in his universe mirror. He immediately opened the altar and understood the secrets of heaven. The hexagrams showed that in the southern waters, the evil spirit was soaring to the sky. Moreover, there was a strong energy coexisting with the evil energy. Although it was weak, it was competing with the evil energy. Gu Guoyun immediately called his 3 lay disciples and ordered them to immediately inquire about matters related to the flood in the south, and to report the incident truthfully no matter how big or small it was. 10 hours later, the eldest disciple Sun Ziyuan was the first to bring news, but it was just some news content. When the other 2 came back, they brought similar news. Gu Guoyun was so anxious that he immediately changed his clothes and went to Qianquan Hall to start another altar practice. This time, he asked Sanqing for divination, but the hexagrams he got still showed that the southern flood was plagued by evil spirits. The rest are not prompted anymore. Gu Guoyun said goodbye to Sanqing and exited the Qianquan Hall. He only had time to say, "Disciple, watch the mountain gate," and then hurried down the mountain. And just when Gu Guoyun rushed to the flooded land in the south, a plague began to appear in Luojia village, and more than a dozen people died overnight. Not only that, there were also people who disappeared inexplicably. When Gu Guoyun came here, he felt a strong evil spirit even before he entered the village. His universe mirror and Wuji bell were both whispering to warn him. After entering the village, he saw that every family was having a funeral and coffins were piled everywhere. As he walked in, there was a ghostly atmosphere. "Little brother, may I ask what happened here?" Gu Guoyun grabbed a young man who was passing by him and asked. This was a young man about 20 years old. When he saw Gu Guoyun dressed as a Taoist priest, he thought he was a wandering Taoist priest who came down the mountain. So he became impatient, waved his hand, and said, "Where did you come from? Leave quickly. There is a plague here, and many people have died." Gu Guoyun saw a layer of darkness hidden between his brows, so he asked, "Then why don't you leave?" The young man grimaced and shook his head. "I am an orphan. My relatives are buried here. I am not going anywhere. Taoist priest, please leave quickly." Gu Guoyun nodded. This young man was loyal, honest, and upright. Unfortunately, he was dying soon. He originally wanted to help, but when he saw a group of black energy following closely behind the young man, he immediately understood that he was about to die, and the ghost came to claim his life. However, the time had not yet arrived, so the ghost just followed and did not take action. The ghost chaplain naturally recognized Gu Guoyun. How much higher was the mage compared to the ghost chaplain in the world? So the ghost chariot saluted him and then followed the young man. Gu Guoyun was a human mage and patrolled on behalf of heaven, so naturally he could not break the rules. What a pity! Gu Guoyun sighed helplessly. Suddenly, the wind moved, and he felt a strong demonic aura coming towards him. At the same time, a strong aura was trying to warn him, and at this moment, a woman appeared in Gu Guoyun's sight. This woman is wearing a floral shirt and looks like a flower. There is a little boy in the backpack behind her. The Qianquan mirror sounded a low warning, and the boy was looking at him from the basket on his back. This child, he. Gu Guoyun was shocked and swept the dust in his hand in all directions. The magic weapon of the immortal family was infinitely powerful, and a spiritual light spread. Under the dust of Tianshu, ghosts and demons of any level will reveal their true form. However, the woman in front of him not only did not show his true form, but instead wore an evil smile, and her cold, murderous gaze was fixed on him. She gritted her teeth and said, "There are only 7 days left. Why do you need to meddle in other people's business? So many cultivators are not coming, but you are the only one who is here to die. In this case, I will grant you a favor." The woman rotated her body and formed a blood-colored barrier in the air. The demonic aura filled the air and dimmed the aura of Tianshu's fly whisk. However, the fairy magic weapon was not a roadside product after all. Although the spiritual power was suppressed, it still formed a colorful halo to protect Gu Guiyun's body. Chapter 2, The Water Monster, is causing trouble. Tianshu Whisk. Lu Hua rushed out of the barrier and showed her demonic form. She was dressed in black, and there was a black flame-shaped demon mark between her eyebrows. Gu Guiyun exclaimed in surprise and lost his voice. It turned out to be a water demon. Read the latest chapter. Lu Hua was hanging in midair. His eyes were red and full of demonic aura. Facing Gu Guiyun, who was holding a Tianshu fly whisk, his eyes were even more murderous. "Stinky Taoist priest, if you don't farm in the mountains and preach scriptures, why don't you come here and ruin my good deeds? I think you are looking for death." As the blood mouth opened and closed, streams of black air rushed out from her mouth and went straight to Gu Guiyun's face. Gu Guiyun formed seals with his hands and, combined with the colorful aura of Tianshu's whisk, instantly turned the black air into white and then dissipated in the air. "Do you want my life for such a small trick?" After Gu Guiyun said this, he instantly sacrificed 3 golden runes, one for the sky and one for the earth. These are called the Heaven and Earth runes. In the middle one, he used his own fairy blood to draw a true fire rune. The Samadhi true fire that burns the sky and destroys the earth is the nemesis of the water monster in the world. When Lu Hua saw that Gu Guiyun could use the true fire talisman, she immediately realized that she had underestimated her enemy. As a water demon, what she feared most was fire. Human fire was already fearful, but now the heavenly fire made her even more afraid. If it were normal times, she would definitely protect herself wisely and retreat immediately. She would never go head-to-head with such an expert who could use the 3 pure heavenly magic and the immortal tablet. But it's different now. In July, the Gate of Ghosts will open wide. If everything goes well, 7 days later, at midnight, it will be the time when human souls enter the Ghost Gate. Countless ghosts from all directions will gather outside the Gate of Ghosts that night. The day of extreme darkness is also the time when she will overcome the catastrophe, so she can't let anyone disturb her. Therefore, she must get rid of this nosy old man. The Samadhi true fire formed a fire ring in the air, surrounding Lu Hua in the center, while Lu Hua opened his arms, holding a ball of black river water in the palms of both hands, and the water vapor filled the black clouds and covered the roof. The fire ring formed by the Samadhi true fire was immediately suppressed by the water vapor of the black river. Lu Hua laughed wildly. "Ha ha ha ha, stinking Taoist priest, don't you know the principle of water and fire being incompatible?" Gu Guiyun held the universe mirror and said sternly, "You water monster, don't be so arrogant. After I destroy your practice, I will hand you over to Hades." After saying this, he immediately threw the universe mirror, formed a seal with his hands, and said in his mouth, "The heaven and earth are infinite. all laws are unified. Once the universe comes out, the gods and ghosts are invincible, and the urgency is like a law. The mirror is turned upward to worship the sky, turned downward to pray to the earth, and finally facing ghosts and monsters to punish evil spirits. A beam of blue, white, and purple light suddenly passed through the barrier formed by the water vapor in the Black River. Lu Hua only felt the colors in front of him. For a moment, his mind was in a trance. The universe mirror flew past and hit the center of his eyebrows. Lu Hua was defeated. The demon body was broken, and its original shape gradually appeared in a cloud of water mist. However, at this moment, Lu Hua suddenly raised the baby high on his head and used his body to resist the power of the universe mirror. The baby's cry forced Gu Guiyun to withdraw his magic power. The Qingquan mirror sensed the owner's thoughts and immediately flew to the owner's side. At this time, the Tianshu whisk that had been playing a defensive role suddenly shook in the air. Gu Guiyun sensed its abnormal movement and was about to comfort him when he saw the seriously injured water demon turned into a ball of black water and quickly sank into a nearby pool. The baby who was used as a shield by Lu Hua was slowly falling. Tianshu rushed over with a swish sound from his fly whisk, dragging the baby's body with his own spiritual power until the baby landed safely. Gu Guiyun recited the incantation and recalled Tianshu's fly whisk, but he found that the fly whisk was low in warning, seeming to remind him of something. The 1-month-old baby was lying on the ground, motionless, his eyes looking at everything around him in confusion. Gu Guiyun picked him up and used his palm to create a soul talisman. After 3 weeks of wandering on the baby's body, the talisman was still intact. Gu Guiyun looked up to the sky and smiled, not knowing what he meant. Since the battle between him and the water monster took place in the barrier, it was completely invisible to mortals. When the battle ended, the villagers just thought they saw a strange old man holding a beautiful baby suddenly appear at the entrance of the village. Originally, Gu Guiyun wanted to take in the water demon, but when he thought that the water demon's spiritual roots were damaged by his own universe mirror, he was afraid that he would not be able to survive the catastrophe in 7 days. Moreover, she was a water demon. If she stayed in the water and did not come out, he might not have a chance even if he waited on the shore for the rest of his life. Thinking of this, he stopped being persistent. Maybe this was God's will. Next, he spent 3 days preparing medicine for the villagers. Although the plague was severe, it was not incurable. Gu Guiyun asked the villagers to follow his instructions to buy medicine from outside villages and towns, and then combined it with some local herbs to make gelatin pills. Soon, the plague was under control. Then he persuaded the villagers to let those who died because of the plague be cremated, because only in this way the plague virus would be completely eradicated and would not be spread again through water sources, soil, animals, and plants by burying corpses. Although cremation is not recognized by everyone here, when people think that burying corpses may cause a second plague, many villagers agree. After the affairs in Luojia village were dealt with, the ghost festival had passed, and everything in Gujia village was calm and normal. Before leaving, Gu Guiyun wanted to ask the villagers about the baby, but no one knew about it, so Gu Guiyun had to give up. Looking at the baby in his arms, he always felt uneasy. Of course, I am more happy, because this child has an extraordinary physique and can stand unscathed under the mirror of the universe. He must be a wizard of Taoism. Thinking of this, I can't help but feel happy from the bottom of my heart. Songyun's lineage has a